Hey everybody, welcome back to the Grognards Corner, and we're actually looking into the Grognards Corner and looking at the original Grognard himself. Kind of a different way of doing things with this video, something I want to try out. Not sure if I'm going to keep doing it. We'll see. And I realize for a lot of you, this is the first time seeing the original Grognard himself, and I'm sorry if it destroys any dreams or illusions or, whatever you had imagined about me. I am not some bearded, old, wizened individual. I'm just some old, disabled combat veteran who likes to play games. Anyways, I wanted to do a little different approach with this video because I wanted to do a recap on my playthrough of Berlin 1945 from Taktyka and Strategia, Polish game company. Kind of left, I think, everybody hanging in the air because I did 3 videos and all of a sudden just stopped. Well, I got to halfway through turn 5, finished the Soviet turn 5 off, and realized that as the German player, I had made a huge mistake early in the game. The Soviets received 2 armored corps on the southern edge of the map on turn 5, which is basically a straight shot to Berlin, with virtually no defenders, German defenders set up between the edge and Berlin. Now, I knew these reinforcements were coming. And it kind of held some of my reserves. I'd gotten like an SS Panzer Grenadier regiment and a Wehrmacht regiment. Yeah, I'd gotten some, 3-4 unit regiments or 3-4 unit stacks as reinforcements. Turn 3, turn 4, something like that. That I probably could have, I probably should have pulled back to Berlin more proper, plus I should have stripped more units off the front line of the Seelow Heights and pulled them back. I didn't realize how quickly the armored corps were going to be able to move up the highways and the roads to get to Berlin, and after the Soviet turn was done, I'm looking at how far they had to go to get to Berlin, and I'm looking at the German forces, and it was just a simple matter of math that there was no way for me to be able to get enough units from the Seelow Heights back to Berlin in time to stop these 2 armored corps from overrunning Berlin. So it was just a math game. It just came down to numbers. So instead of fighting it out to the bitter end, I said, all right, well, I fucked up. I'm going to have to call this one good. So I wanted to give some post-game views, thoughts, opinions on all that. Overall, I love the rule set. I really do like the rule set. And there are some compatriots and companions of mine out there that say, but Devin, you like everything. Yeah, I kind of do. I can find the good in most games. Game has got to really suck really bad for me not to like it. But I like this. It really harkens back to the old school war games of the the 70s and 80s, the stuff that I just adore with a passion. A lot of new gamers probably won't get that and probably won't like the game because of that. I do. I found it thoroughly enjoyable. But when I play it again, and for anybody else out there who wants to play it, keep an eye on that Soviet reinforcement that comes in on turn 5. Figure out what reinforcements you can start rushing back to Berlin to try to blunt those 2 corps from moving north and pull back units from the Seelow Heights that you think you can afford to. Now, when I first initially sat down and looked at the game, I thought it was just going to be a steamroll. The Soviets were just going to steamroll right over the Germans, and the Germans were just going to have a hell of a time doing a fighting withdrawal. The game mechanics, I don't want to say favor the German defenders, but it makes it easier for the German defenders to resist the Soviet steamroll. Biggest thing is the Soviets have got to secure bridges and roadways over the Oder River because all the supply is dependent on roadways, and the Soviets have a much shorter supply chain than the Russian or the Germans do, and so you really have got to pay attention to where those road networks are for tracing your supply chain. I didn't do that really. I just kind of, there's the 33rd front. We'll just push them right across the Oder River and not worry about the road networks. And then, 1 or 2 turns in, realize, I don't have any supply. Okay, we need to rethink that. Plus, the German fortifications, the German fortifications are a bitch to try to break. There's no getting around it. The simple fact is, you could have, the Soviets, it's not hard for the Soviet player to get 6-1, 7-1, 8-1 odds. But you're attacking a fortress. That gives you 3 column shifts. Say they're in the hills, which is another 2 column shifts. So that 6, 7, 8-1 is now looking at a 1-1 or a 2-1 odds. And a bad dice roll, and you don't push the Germans don't take any casualties. So I started learning that I kind of had to peel each position like an onion. Try to get in behind them, cut off their supply paths, which kind of is easy to do in the area of the Silo Heights, and just basically just keep flooding Soviet troops out. Probably a more experienced player would be able to maneuver a lot better than I did, and so that's one thing I do need to take account of in the next time I play, is paying attention to those road networks. I basically completely ignored Frankfurt because that had a huge road network running right through, because it was really heavily defended, and I just didn't want to try to push the troops across the Oder River to try to take the Frankfurt River, or try to take Frankfurt, which in hindsight I probably should have, because I need that highway to supply my armies as they're moving on to Berlin. So that was what I found I was doing wrong with the Soviets. The Germans, again, have enough in the Silo Heights to be able to hold a while with the fortified positions and the fortress positions, that they can actually strip units off and send them back towards Berlin to try to blunt those 2 corps. So the Germans have got to start looking at that like the first or second turn. They need to start looking at what can I leave behind, what can I start stripping off, because those 2 corps need to be blunted. That's all there is to it. So other than that, I mean, the Germans are just playing a hold the line game, but the breakthrough will eventually come. And when that happens, then the Germans will have to desperately start falling back, more than likely along the road networks because of the supply lines, and doing as many tripwires as they can to blunt the two Soviet fronts that are moving through. The only real complaint about the physical game itself, and Wachich, I hope you're listening to this, the backside of the counters, the reduced step side, they need to have some type of marking on them to indicate they're the reduced side, because unless you look at the numbers and have got the counters memorized, I was continually finding myself flipping the counters over. Okay, is this the reduced side? Is this the full strength side? If there was a simple little yellow bar or something on the back sides of the counters to indicate that it was the step loss side, that would be perfect. I don't know if you're going to do that. I know you've published, dozens of games with the WB95 series, and, I don't know if you're willing to from this point forward, go through and do the step losses, or to mark the step loss sides on the back, but I would really appreciate it, please. It's on my Christmas wish list. Other than that, fun game. Like I said, I enjoyed it immensely while I was playing it. Again, the first couple turns went a little bit, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, spent more time on my nose in the rule book. I would probably rewrite the casualty results table a little bit. It's a little bit confusing for an English reader because there's 3 different letter connotations in there that I'm sure in Polish all make sense, and they all mean the same thing, but they're not really defined out in the rules. So it's like, okay, that letter, okay, it's the same as what that letter is, which is what is in the rule book. So I would probably rewrite the CRT a little bit just to make it a little bit more easier for me to read. But really, honestly, those are about the only 2 complaints I had. Fun game. I really suggest people go out and take a look at the WB95 series. He's got a lot of games that he's done for it. He's got Ardennes, he's got D-Day, he's got Operation Market Garden, the big division regimental battles. Plus, he always does stuff in his magazine. So, I think I've rambled on long enough, and I will go ahead and cut it here, and then I'll go into editing, and we'll see if this is something we're going to do, put it up on the web, see if people like this new approach to my video casting, and we might see me do this more, or we may never see this again, depending on how people react to it. Anyways, thanks for watching all. I appreciate it. Leave comments, subscribe. You know you want to.